Hey guys, welcome to another presentation. Today we have exciting topic, quantum mechanics and the law of assumption. Let's go through the overview of today's presentation. The quantum foundation from particle to possibility, the core of assumption, Neville Goddard's blueprint, the frequency of being, energy, vibration and detachment, programming the subconscious, state akin to sleep and neural priming, and review and integration. So without further ado, let's go to the chapter number 1, the quantum foundation from particle to possibility. For centuries we have lived under the shadow of Newtonian physics. Isaac Newton taught us that the universe is a giant machine, predictable, linear and solid. In this old paradigm, you are a small cog in a massive engine. If you want a result, you must apply physical force. You are a victim of cause and effect. The quantum model changes everything. It reveals that the universe is not a machine, but a mind-like field. It suggests that cause and effect is an illusion, and truth is consciousness causes the effect. In the quantum world, reality does not exist in a fixed state. Before you look at it, a subatomic particle exists as a wave function. It is a state of superposition, meaning it is literally in all possible places and all possible states at the exact same time. It is a mathematical blur of maybe. When a physicist decides to measure a particle, to observe it, something miraculous happens. The wave function collapses. The act of observation forces the infinite maybe to choose a single is. The wave vanishes and is localized. Solid particle appears. The takeaway for your life, your future, is currently a wave of infinite possibilities. There is a version of your life where you are master of your field, and a version where you stay exactly where you are. They both exist right now as waves. The only thing that turns one of those waves into solid 3D reality is where you place your observation, where you place your attention. When we peer into the heart of the atom, our Newtonian senses are betrayed. We expect to find solid little balls of matter, but instead we encounter a staggering void. If an atom were expanded to the size of a football stadium, the nucleus would be the size of a small marble in the center, and the electrons would be like tiny gnats buzzing in the highest seats of the stands. Everything in between, 99.9% of reality, is seemingly empty space. However, modern quantum field theory reveals that this nothingness is the most significant something in existence. This space is not called that vacuum. It is the zero-point field. It is an invisible high-pressure ocean of energy that remains even at an absolute zero temperature. Imagine a calm ocean. From distance, it looks like a flat blue surface, but as you get closer, you see it teeming with microscopic fluctuations, waves appearing and disappearing in a fraction of a second. The quantum field is exactly like this. It is a plenum, a space that is absolutely full. Every cubic centimeter of this empty space contains more energy than all the matter in the known universe. This is the source code of reality. It is the unified field of information that connects your mind to the fabric of the universe. To understand how your thoughts become things, you must understand the double-slit experiment. This is the smoking gun that proves that reality is a participatory game. Imagine a barrier with two thin vertical slits. Behind it is a screen that records where particles land. If we fire tiny marbles, matter, through the slits, they act like little bullets, forming two distinct columns on the back screen. If we shine a light or fire a wave through the slits, the wave passes through both slits simultaneously. The waves interfere with each other on the other side, creating an interference pattern, a series of many vertical stripes. When physicists fired electrons, the building blocks of matter, through the slits, they expected them to act like marbles. Instead, the electrons acted like waves, creating an interference pattern. The electrons were traveling as waves of probability, passing through both slits at once, existing in two places at the same time. The scientists decided to spy on the electrons to see which slit they actually went through. They placed a measuring device, an observer, at the slits. The moment the device watched the electron changed its behavior. It stopped acting like a wave of many possibilities and suddenly acted like a little solid marble. The interference pattern disappeared and the two-column pattern returned. The mere act of observation forced the electron to collapse from a wave of infinite potential into a single solid particle of matter. The takeaway for your life? If you do not observe a specific outcome, your life remains a wave of maybe. But when you focus your consciousness, when you assume a specific state, you are the measuring device that forces the quantum field to collapse into a physical fact. Matter cannot exist without an observer to witness it. The quantum field is the ultimate library of everything. It does not distinguish between past, present, or future. It is a non-local realm of pure information. The first law of thermodynamics states that energy cannot be created or destroyed. It can only be transformed. This means that you do not create your success, your wealth, or your health. You cannot create something that doesn't already exist in the field. Success is a frequency. It's a specific vibration of information in the field. Wealth is a frequency. It is a state of abundance consciousness already recorded in the source code. Health is a frequency. It is the original blueprint of your biological perfection. Everything you desire is currently sitting in the quantum field as a signature frequency. It's like a radio station that is broadcasting 24/7. The reason you haven't heard it in your life yet is that the station isn't playing. It's that the tuner, your internal state, is set to a different frequency. You are a biological transmitter and receiver. Your thoughts send a signal into the field, and your feelings draw the results back to you. When you align your internal observation or your assumption with the frequency of the result you want, the wave of that success has no choice but to collapse into a particle in your 3D reality. In the quantum model, you collapse the destination into your now. By assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled, you change your internal frequency. The quantum field responds to who you are being, not who you are wanting. When your internal frequency matches the frequency of the potential in the field, the 3D reality has no choice but to manifest. Now let's move to another chapter, Law of Assumption. Neville Goddard's blueprint. Neville Goddard was perhaps the most profound mystical teacher of the 20th century. While his peers were talking about positive thinking, Neville was teaching radical identity shift. He understood, decades before modern neuroscience caught up, that the world is not something you change from the outside. It is a mirror reflecting the state of your inner being. The most common mistake in manifestation is trying to manifest what you want. In the quantum model, wanting is a signal of lack. When you want something, you are broadcasting the frequency that you do not have it. The field, being a perfect mirror, simply reflects that lack back to you. You do not manifest what you want, you manifest who you are. Neville taught that you must move from desire to identity. Desire is a bridge you never cross. Identity is the ground you stand on. If you want to be wealthy, you cannot continue to identify as a person who is trying to get rich. You must assume the identity of the person who already is wealthy. Your I am is the magnetic core that determines which version of the way collapses into your life. Living in the end is the practical application of the quantum collapse. If all possibilities exist in the field right now, then the version of you that has already achieved your goal is not in the future. It is your current frequency. To live in the end means to mentally and emotionally occupy the state of the wish fulfilled. You act, think and breathe from the perspective that the goal is already a historical fact. By doing this, you are tuning your internal transmitter to the signature frequency we discussed in chapter number 1. You are not visualizing a future event, you are assuming a present reality. When your internal world becomes more real to you than the external 3D shadows, the quantum field must align. The 3D world is simply a delayed projection. It is a shadow of your past assumptions. By living in the end, you are changing the source light of the projection. Your brain has a specialized filter called reticular activating system. This system acts as a gatekeeper. It filters out the millions of bits of data your brain receives every second and only lets in what it deems relevant. And what it does deem relevant, whatever aligns with your identity and your assumptions. If you assume the world is against me, your reticular activating system will filter out every opportunity and only highlight evidence of struggle. When you assume the identity of success, your RAS is reprogrammed. It begins to spot the connections, the people and the opportunities in the quantum field that were always there, but invisible to your old self. Your assumption creates a perpetual filter. When you change your identity, you doesn't just feel better, you literally see a different world. Your subconscious mind, which controls 95% of your behavior, begins to move toward your goal automatically. You find yourself in the right place at the right time, making the right moves, because your internal map has been updated to the version of reality where the goal is already yours. Let's move to another chapter, the frequency of being. To master the law of assumption, you must move beyond the mechanical and into the vibrational. Nikola Tesla, one of the greatest scientific minds in history, famously stated, "If you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency and vibration." Tesla wasn't talking about poetry, he was talking about the literal fabric of the quantum field. Every thought you think, every emotion you feel, and every object you touch is a vibration. In this chapter, we explore how to turn your internal world into a high-fidelity transmitter that commands the field to respond. Neville Goddard's most famous axiom was "feeling is the secret." In the quantum model, your thoughts act as a electrical signal that you send out into the field, but your feelings act as a magnetic charge that draws the reality back to you. When you think about your goal, you create a thought form in the brain. But when you feel the gratitude, relief and joy of that goal being finished, you activate the heart's electromagnetic field, which is up to 5,000 times stronger than the brain's. The quantum field doesn't respond to what you want, it responds to who you are. If you are waiting for success, your emotional signature is lack. If you assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, your emotional signature is abundance. Gratitude is the ultimate state of receivership. When you feel truly grateful, it is because something has already happened. By feeling gratitude before the 3D evidence appears, you are sending a signal to the field that the event has already occurred. The field, being a mirror, must then manifest the physical equivalent. Quantum entanglement is a phenomenon where two particles become so deeply linked that they share the same existence. Whatever happens to one happens to the other instantly, regardless of the distance between them. You are entangled with the version of your life that already exists in the field of infinite potential. Your inner energy and the outer event are not two separate things. They are two ends of the same string. When you shift your internal vibration to match your goal, you are interacting with that entangled potential. You don't travel to your success, you draw it into your current coordinate in space-time through vibrational resonance. Because of entanglement, the outer world is not out there. It is localized projection of your internal state. When you change the frequency of the source of you, the projection, your reality, has no choice but to shift instantaneously at the quantum level, even if the 3D shadow takes time to catch up. Most people assume that the more effort or pressure they apply, the faster the manifestation will come. In quantum physics, this is the equivalent of creating interference. When you try to manifest, you are broadcasting a frequency of "I don't have it yet." This pressure creates a wall of resistance in the field. You are literally pushing your goal away by the very act of desperately wanting it. Detachment is the ultimate act of faith. It is the absolute assumption that the work is already done. When you are detached, you are in a state of knowing. You don't check the email every 5 minutes for the package you know is coming. You simply go about your day. By letting go, by surrendering, you remove the resistance from your signal. You allow the wave function to collapse into reality through the path of least resistance. This is the paradox. The moment you no longer need it to happen is the exact moment the field is free to deliver it. When Tesla spoke of these 3 pillars, he was giving us the manual for the law of assumption. First one he spoke about was energy. Everything is energy, your desire is energy, you are energy. To change your life, you must change the flow of the energy from seeking to being. Second one is frequency. Your frequency is your vibrational address. If you are on the frequency of struggle, the universe cannot deliver success to you any more than a radio tuned to 90 Hz can play the music on 105 Hz. You must change your frequency to match the signature frequency of your goal. The third one is vibration. Vibration is the movement of energy. By living in the end and feeling the feeling of the wish fulfilled, You are vibrating at the level of your result. Now let's move to another chapter, programming the subconscious. If the quantum field is the cloud where all possibilities are stored, your subconscious mind is the operating system that determines which files are downloaded into your 3D reality. You don't manifest what your conscious mind thinks about for 5 minutes a day. You manifest what your subconscious mind accepts as truth 24/7. In this chapter, we explore the backdoor into the subconscious, state akin to sleep, and the neurobiology of permanent change. Neville Goddard identified a specific window of time as the most powerful for manifestation, the moments just before you fall asleep. He called this the state akin to sleep. In modern science, we call this the theta state. As you drift towards sleep, your brainwaves slow down from beta to alpha and finally into theta state. In theta, the critical filter of the conscious mind, the part of you that says, "This isn't real" or "I don't have enough money," is deactivated. In state akin to sleep, the door to the subconscious is wide open. By visualizing a short, couple seconds long scene that implies that your wish is already fulfilled, and looping it until you fall asleep, you are writing directly onto your biological hard drive, onto your subconscious mind. By entering this state, you are effectively bypassing the bodyguard of the conscious mind and handling the new script directly to the director of your life, the subconscious. When you perform 𝗧𝗶𝗺𝗀𝗀𝗀, you aren't just daydreaming, you are engaging in a process called Hebbian learning. Neurons that fire together wire together. Your brain doesn't know the difference between the real experience and vividly imagined one. When you feel the emotions and see the images of your end results in state akin to sleep, your brain begins to force a new synaptic connections. By consistently looping the scene, you thicken these neural pathways. Your brain begins to build a memory of the future. It starts to perceive the manifestation as the historical fact rather than a hope. This rewiring changes your biological baseline. You begin to act, speak, and move like the version of yourself that has already succeeded. Your brain is no longer looking for how to get there. It is operating from the perspective that you are already there. A powerful state akin to sleep session can be neutralized by 16 hours of mental trash. This is where most people fail. They spend 10 minutes assuming wealth and 10 hours a day complying about prices. Neville called the solution the mental diet. Your internal conversation is the real observation that collapses the way function. If your inner monologue contradicts your state akin to sleep, you are creating destructive interference. You're sending a yes signal at night and no signal all day. You must become a vigilant observer of your thoughts. The moment a thought of lack or doubt arises, you do not fight it, you simply replace it. You say, "That thought no longer belongs to my current identity," and you return to the feeling of the wish fulfilled. The subconscious is programmed by repetition and emotion. Your mental diet is the repetition part of the equation. By maintaining a 24/7 inner monologue that assumes the best, You are constantly pinning your consciousness to the desired frequency in the quantum field. Now let's move to the review and integration of today's interesting presentation. This final chapter serves as your operational manual. We have moved from the quantum field to the subconscious mind. Now we bridge the gap between knowing and being. To be a reality architect is to stop living as a victim of circumstances and start living as the deliberate cause of your life. Let's make the summary of quantum principles we discussed in today's presentation. To maintain your conviction during the 3D relay, you must remember the laws you are operating under. First is the observer effect. Reality is a maybe, a wave function, until you observe it. Your attention is the trigger that collapses infinite potential into solid fact. The 0-point field. You are never creating from nothing. You are a biological tuner accessing the source code that already contains every version of success, health, and wealth. Vibrational match. The field does not respond to your words, it responds to your frequency. You must match the signature frequency of your goal through the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Quantum entanglement. Your internal state and the external manifestation are one. When you shift the source, the 3D mirror has no choice but to reflect that change. Action steps to take after watching this presentation. Use this daily routine to pin your consciousness to your desired reality. In the morning, before you check your phone, reclaim your identity. Do not let the 3D world dictate who you are. Declare your identity for the day. Not I will be, but I am. Instruct your reticular actuating system by saying, today I only see the opportunities and evidence that align with my success. During the day, observe your inner monologue. If a thought of lack arises, label it, this is a shadow of an old assumption. Immediately replace it with a thought that aligns with your end result. Ask yourself throughout the day, how would I feel right now if my goal was already a historical fact? Embody that posture and breathing pattern. As you lie in bed, wait for the state akin to sleep. Visualize a short, it could be 5-second scene that implies your goal is finished. Feel the texture of your hand you shake. Hear the specific words of your friend saying, I'm so proud of you. You can imagine whatever scene you find convincing. Fall asleep in the feeling of the wish fulfilled. This hands the new script directly to your subconscious for neural rewiring while you sleep. Living as the future version of you. The ultimate secret of the love assumption is that the 3D world is old news. It is delayed projection of your past thoughts and feelings. To change the projection, you must ignore the screen and change the film in the projector. If you were already the person you want to be, how would you walk into a room? How would you handle a problem? Start doing that now. Do not check the 3D world to see if it's working. Checking is a sign of doubt, it's a sign of lack. Detachment is the ultimate knowing. You know the wave has already collapsed in the field. The 3D manifestation is simply the delivery in transit. Stop seeking your life and start being your life. You are not a cog in a machine. You are the observer, the architect, and the source. When you change your assumption, you change your frequency. When you change your frequency, you change the vibration of your reality. The quantum field is waiting for your command. Assume your reality. Thank you everyone for watching this presentation. My name is Filip and I'm looking forward to seeing you at the next presentation. See you later.